Welcome to the Psych2Go review for Don and Sandra Hockenberry, Psychology, Chapter 4, Consciousness and its Variations. We'll begin with Section 1, Consciousness and Biological and Environmental Clocks that Regulate Consciousness. Let's start with the definition we'll use to base this review on. Consciousness is our personal awareness of mental activities, internal sensations, and external environment. The phrase, stream of consciousness, originated with William James in 1892 when he described consciousness as unified and unbroken, much like the movement of water in a stream. For a time, research on consciousness was abandoned because self-reports could not be objectively verified, but by the late 1950s, psychologists felt that a complete understanding of behavior could not be possible without considering the role of conscious mental processes. In addition, by this point in time, technology offered new ways of measuring brain activity. Now let's look at circadian rhythms, which are the biological and psychological processes that systematically vary over a 24-hour period. Mental alertness and the sleep-wake cycle are just two examples of the daily highs and lows you experience in a wide variety of bodily processes. Other bodily processes that rhythmically peak and dip each day include blood pressure, pain sensitivity, and the secretion of different hormones. Another interesting fact is that your circadian rhythms are closely synchronized with each other. For example, the circadian rhythm for the release of growth hormone is synchronized with the sleep-wake circadian rhythm so that growth hormone is released only while you sleep. Your circadian rhythms are controlled by a cluster of neurons in the brain's hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. From now on, we'll refer to it as the SCN. This master biological clock governs the timing of circadian rhythms, including your sleep-wake cycle and your mental alertness cycle, by using connections in the visual system. Decreases in sunlight trigger an increase in the hormone melatonin, manufactured in the pineal gland, which makes you sleep, while exposure to sunlight suppresses melatonin levels. As you can guess, nature's wake-up alarm is the bright light that appears when the sun rises. To study the effects of no sunlight on the human sleep-wake cycle, researchers created environments where free-running circadian rhythms could be observed. They discovered that the natural circadian rhythm of the SCN is closer to 25 hours rather than to 24 hours. Thus, subjects in these free-running conditions had a tendency to go to sleep an hour later each day, that is, based on the 24-hour clock. Researchers also discovered that in these conditions, other circadian rhythms were no longer synchronized or coordinated with each other. But interestingly, when exposed to normal daylight and darkness, circadian rhythms once again became synchronized. I'd like you now to consider what happens when your internal clock differs from the actual time. Say, when you have the opportunity to travel across a number of time zones and experience the state called jet lag, or experience dramatic time changes in work shifts. The psychological and physiological effects from this disruption to your circadian rhythms can be severe. Be aware that melatonin plays a role in these symptoms because the external cues for being alert or sleepy are not in sync with the internal body clock. I want to ask you a few questions about this material before we move on to our next section. I'll pause after each question so that you have a moment to decide on your answer. Question 1. What are circadian rhythms? Circadian rhythms are biological processes that systematically vary over a 24-hour period. Question 2. True or false? Under free-running conditions, circadian rhythms lose their normal synchronization with each other. True. They do lose their normal synchronization. Question 3. What hormone plays a key role in jet lag? The hormone is melatonin.